Today, we're going to talk about a philosopher who completely changed how we think about truth itself. His name was René Descartes, and his quest for certainty is, well, it's a heck of a story.
So let's just dive right in with a question for you. Are you absolutely 100% sure you're not dreaming? Descartes took this question so seriously, it basically led him to tear down and rebuild the entire foundation of Western philosophy.
To really get what Descartes was trying to do, we have to kind of step into his shoes, into his world. It was an era where all these long-held truths, things people had believed for centuries, were suddenly starting to crack and fall apart.
I mean, think about it. Descartes was born into this time of incredible change. Copernicus and Galileo had just upended the entire view of the cosmos. The printing press was spreading all these new, often contradictory ideas everywhere. So even though Descartes got the best education money could buy, he just felt dissatisfied. He looked around and saw the smartest people in history arguing for centuries, and they couldn't seem to agree on a single thing. The whole world of knowledge felt like it was built on shaky ground.
He'd look at philosophy and just see endless debates. He saw history as just a bunch of stories, not proven, certain facts. It all felt like this big, loud marketplace of opinions with no real solid proof for anything. So he made a pretty radical decision. He was going to start over, from absolute zero.
So if the old ways of finding truth were broken, Descartes needed a new system, something pure, logical, and just undeniable. And he found his inspiration in math. And that was the kind of certainty he was after. Think about it. In math, you start with these simple, rock-solid truths, axioms, and you use pure logic to build your way up to prove really complex ideas. There's no opinion involved. 2 + 2 is always 4. So the big question for him became, could I do that for all of knowledge? Could I find one single philosophical truth that is so clear, so obvious, that no one on earth could possibly doubt it? This led him down a pretty wild path. He figured that before he could build this new, sturdy house of knowledge, he first had to completely bulldoze the old one. He decided he would systematically doubt every single belief he had ever held, just to see if anything, and I mean anything, could survive the attack.
And this wasn't just some casual, maybe that's not true. Oh no, Descartes was a man with a method. He developed this intense, 3-step process to push skepticism to its absolute logical extreme.
So his method came in these 3, waves of doubt, and each one gets more and more intense. First, he doubts his senses. Okay, easy enough. We all know a stick looks bent in water. Our senses can trick us. Then he cranks it up a notch with the dream argument. How can you be absolutely positive this isn't all just a very vivid dream? But here's where it gets really wild, the evil demon. He says, what if there's some all-powerful, malicious demon out there whose entire job is to deceive you about everything? What if this demon is making you believe that 2 + 2 = 4, when it really equals 5?
So after all that, where does it leave him? Pretty much in total darkness, right? If your senses can be wrong, if your whole reality could be a dream, and if even your ability to reason could be a lie fed to you by a demon, what is left? It's just this terrifying void of doubt with absolutely nothing to hold on to.
But it's right there, in that deepest, darkest pit of doubt, that he has his big breakthrough. He finds this one tiny flicker of light, one single truth that just could not be doubted.
He realized something incredible. Even if that evil demon is tricking him about everything, there has to be a him, an I, for the demon to trick in the first place. The very act of doubting his existence proved that there was a doubter. The act of thinking itself was the undeniable proof that a thinker must exist.
And that is the absolute core of it. You literally cannot doubt your own existence without proving it at the same time, because doubting is a form of thinking. And boom, that was it. That was his unshakable foundation, his single point of certainty from which he could start to rebuild the entire world of knowledge. And this was absolutely revolutionary. For centuries, everyone assumed that knowledge starts out there, with the world you see and touch. Descartes just flipped that whole idea on its head. He said, nope, the only certain starting point for knowledge isn't the world outside, it's the mind inside. It's your own consciousness.
Okay, so he's found his one solid piece of ground. But Descartes wasn't done. He wanted to build on it, to create a practical toolkit that anyone, not just philosophers, could use to think more clearly and solve problems based on this new foundation of reason.
And his framework is actually super practical. It's just 4 simple but really powerful rules. 1, the rule of clarity. Don't accept anything unless it's so crystal clear you have zero reason to doubt it.
2. The rule of division. Break down big, messy problems into smaller, manageable pieces. 3. The rule of order. Start with the easiest pieces and work your way up to the hard stuff. And finally, number 4, the rule of review. Go back over everything so carefully that you are certain you haven't missed a single thing. It's just a beautiful, logical way to tackle almost any challenge.
So when you think about Descartes, the most important thing to remember isn't necessarily a list of answers he came up with, it's the method. It's the courage. He basically gave us permission to be intellectual rebels, to demand evidence, to think for ourselves, and to build our own understanding on the solid ground of reason.
And he leaves us with this incredible, powerful idea that honest, rigorous doubt isn't the enemy of belief. In fact, it's the very first, most crucial step on the path to discovering real, true, and lasting knowledge.